I would say that there are many different things that inspire me. A hard-working dancer, in spite of their physical limitations, and every single dancer has one, or two, or 80. That dancer is making it happen.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you joined us for part 2 with Mr. Carney here on Barre Talk. He's joining us all the way from Kansas City with Kansas City Ballet, and we're so excited to have you back.
Me too. I'm glad to be back. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so here we go. What is the biggest challenge that you have faced as an artistic director? And I think probably right now is probably one of those times.
I would say so, yes. This is one of the most difficult things I think any artistic director is having to go through. It is crazy hard right now because your heart breaks, every time you see your dancers, and you know that they all want to just be in the studio. They want to be dancing. They want to be doing what they love to do. And, everybody's got the brakes on, everybody's chained to their homes and trying to do the Zoom stuff, and it's that only works for so long. But it's that camaraderie in the studio it's been really hard in that respect. And I would say another thing that's really hard about being an artistic director, one of the biggest challenges for me, is when you have a limited number of performances and you have more extremely talented individuals who should be doing that lead role.
Yeah.
Then there is time to be able to put all of those dancers out there, because our company, I know a lot of all the companies across the country, there are so many talented individuals, and I just wish we all had a chance to do like 4 weeks of some contemporary rep would be awesome, so that we could do 5 casts. That would be so cool.
Yeah, no, I think those are two very valid points. And I think that, talented people are hard on themselves, which I'm sure you have experienced. And I'm sure, now definitely, but as a ballet master as well, Charles Askegaard said something really wonderful. He said most of the issues when I have meetings with dancers, it's never really about themselves. It's about all the external stuff.
Yeah.
It is, about getting to do those roles, and there's only so much money, so many days in the theater, so many times, so I think that's wonderful that you just put it out there like that as well. Okay, can you tell us where you were when you got the phone call that you received the artistic directorship at Kansas City?
Where was I? Well, I was actually at work. And it was an email. No, well, obviously it's an email first. We need to talk. But yeah, it was at work, and I knew it was coming, that I was getting a call, and had to go, practically in a closet to go have that conversation. Sneak away,
Totally. Okay. Now, what inspires you?
What inspires me? That's a interesting question, because I would say that there are many different things that inspire me. One thing that inspires me is just nature, is just listening to the breeze blowing through trees. Another thing that inspires me is a hard-working dancer, somebody who really wants it bad. That inspires me, and I just love to watch somebody. Because it reminds me of my youth, to watch a dancer who just really wants to dance. And in spite of their physical limitations, and every single dancer has one, or 2, or 80, right? We all have them, right? But in spite of those things, that dancer is making it happen, and, crafting their body, making it their own, their instrument, and learning how to manipulate their body in just the right way to get that move, or to get that look. And I'm always eternally inspired when I confront dancers like that. They bring out the best in me, because it gives me hope for the future, that dancers are still wanting to do this and are ready to put the work in. And, Maria, I know you know this, but for your audience, 90% of dance is just hard work. It really is.
No, I agree. But I do think what you're saying now is we are afforded both of those things in quarantine, that time off to do nothing, to be in nature, to be
Yeah,
re-inspired, to
right.
kind of heal all of that stuff that we put ourselves through with the hard work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really hope dancers out there hear what you're saying about the balance between both of those things right now,
Mm-hmm.
because we've been given a gift in a way,
Yeah.
to be able to
Yeah.
do that. Now we have to take the gift back to the stage, and
Right.
artistic directors are going to figure out how we do that and when, but we'll get there, and perhaps it will be dancing in nature at amphitheaters.
I think you're right. Is they say that that's going to be the first thing that's going to have any sort of success is anybody who has an environment, literally the weather, that can allow them to do an outdoor performance.
Yeah.
That is going to be probably the first attempts at performances.
How beautiful would Serenade at dusk be?
Uh, wow.
Just standing,
Wow.
how beautiful would that be at dusk with natural lighting coming in? Oh,
Mm,
gorgeous
wow.
ideas. Okay, so here we go. If you had to choose a different career path, what would it be?
Okay. Well, I did have a career path. I don't know if it's necessary. Can I say two things? Can I
Yes,
say?
yes, of
Okay.
course.
All right. Well, I got to follow the rules, I'm a dancer at heart, right? Um, well, I gave myself 1 year when I was young, and I was in the second company with Boston Ballet. I
Okay.
said, I'm going to try this for a year. If it doesn't work, I'm going back to college because I want to be a mechanical engineer or a nuclear engineer, one or the other. That's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And I love fixing things. And it's no wonder I happen to wind up being an artistic director
A
because
lot of
you
fixing.
have to figure out how to make this thing work. And sometimes it doesn't always work right. And you got to figure out how to fix it, so it'll work, right? So it's just, of course. But the other thing would be a photographer. I love photography and I love woodworking, but photography is something that I really, really love. And I thought that's what I was going to do. That was another thing I thought I might be winding up doing when I was a kid.
But in a
I
way, you
actually did.
are a photographer because you're a
uh,
choreographer. So you're creating.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, choreography is, well, that's still within the dance world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely choreography is something I'd love to do, and I am doing already. So,
Yeah, there you go. I
yeah.
love it. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. I love for dancers to know that like we're whole humans. You know what
Right.
I mean? That
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's what makes for a long career is being a
Hmm.
whole human all the way
Hmm.
around.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, who is your favorite dancer that you looked up to, and who's one of your favorite choreographers? I'm not going to make you choose any favorite dancers of today, but
Thank you.
like when you were popping those videotapes in and watching, who was your favorite?
Well, there were three. There were three. Well, the very first one before I ever was exposed to the very big professional world was Nijinsky. I studied him like crazy. But then Fernando Bajones was somebody I knew from a very young age. And then there was Baryshnikov and Nureyev, and I had a chance to work with all of them, which is, was a dream come true to have over the course of my dancing career have danced alongside all three of those iconic individuals. So yeah, I would say, of all three of those, Nureyev, I spent 5 years touring with him, and well, he's back there in the corner. There he is up there in that corner. That's Rudy up there. But yeah, learned an awful lot working with him. Many,
And
many years.
what about choreographers?
Choreography, I really am loving Yuri Killian. I just think he's such a full organic individual, and I really love his work. There's a fluidity to it that is just incredible. And I didn't get to dance many of his works. I only got to dance Symphony in D, which I don't think anybody does anymore. It's a great comedy of his. Um, yeah, Killian. I love Forsythe too. I love Billy's work, and have had a chance to talk to him, and actually had both of those individuals' ballets brought to Kansas City as well.
So good. So good. I love that you mentioned Symphony D, because I feel like so many choreographers feel like to be taken seriously, it has to be deep, and a
Right.
lot of times the ballets that last are the ones that are joyous. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Balanchine's collection, like it's the joyous ballets within that collection that are done the most, you know.
Yeah. Good point. Good
So
point.
I always love that. Okay, um, as a choreographer, what is your process? Do you envision the piece first? Do you choose the music first? Is it some of both? Are you up in the middle of the night mapping it out? Do you wait to be in the studio to be inspired? How do you work?
Um, well, I'll do two different highways.
Okay.
Okay. One is a contemporary, never before seen work. Another is a classical full length work.
Okay.
They're very different in respect to the process. With the contemporary work, certainly for me, the music has to speak to me. I may have a general concept of an idea. I want something hard hitting. I want something really gutsy. Then I'll go hunting for music, right?
Right.
Um, but most of the time, it's the music that really has to grab me. I'm very much a music. I was a musician all the way through my schooling, so I
A
learned.
singer, a musician, a mechanical engineer.
I know.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Like,
So yeah, so the music has to really talk to me, because if I don't connect with the music, then geez, how am I going to choreograph to the
right.
music?
Mhm.
With a classical work, and I've done a Swan Lake, a Sleeping Beauty, Giselle. These are all great classical works. I'm going to be doing a Cinderella. I've done a Romeo and Juliet. Um, I think that's it. Yeah, maybe. But three of the four of those, Giselle's Beauty and Swan Lake, we all have a general idea of them, right?
Yes.
And I'm, I hate to say it, but I feel like I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to the classical works.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there are really interesting, innovative, contemporary versions of interpreting those works, but
Yeah.
I tend to want to respect them and reproduce them um, in as much form as I believe gives them credit. So those are cool, and there's such a great roadmap. The music's there. You have more than 100 years of tradition behind you, and those I really enjoy doing because I have lots of options um, and lots of places to turn to if I'm stuck. What happens on this music? I don't remember. But Romeo and Juliet, I did, and that was an incredible experience, which I will never forget to have choreographed that. Um, and, again, it was the music. The music is the roadmap, just like it is with contemporary work. But with R&J, Prokofiev was a genius when it came to telling the story. And all I had to do was listen to the music to tell the story. And that really helped. But the steps were all like I had to think up everything from scratch. And that was really exciting. So I did have a roadmap, Maria. I did have it kind of plotted out because I knew the story, right?
Right.
But the steps themselves didn't really happen until I was in the room and I was collaborating and being inspired by the dancers. And I did a Peter Pan a few years ago to Carmen de Leon's music, an incredible score for Peter Pan. And that too, Carmen told the story in his music and made it quite easy for me to get in the room. I know in this scene, Peter's going to fight Captain Hook. I love sword fighting, no problem. We're going to have a great time coming up with stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy as a choreographer when I think about it, Maria. To this day, I can't figure it out. Where do the steps come from? It's really crazy. You just get in the room and you have these beautiful people in front of you who are intelligent, who have been working so hard to be where they are at the top of their field, and it just starts to happen. The mojo happens and the steps start coming. And I just love that about choreography. I can't overthink it.
No.
And for anybody who wants to be a choreographer out there that's listening, sometimes the worst thing you can do is overthink it and start editing yourself too much. And it's better just to let it all come out and just work with that rough material, instead of going, now what should I do on count one, when you're in your home? Okay, I'll do a tendu and then a tombe on two, and and you write it all out. And I know there are people that do that, and oh my goodness, I don't know how they do that. I would go out of my mind.
I would go out of my mind. I would go out of my mind too. But what I think you're saying is there's a magic that happens in the studio.
Oh yeah.
And I always say to my students when I'm teaching on the road, and I say, to be a full human, you have to have a physical, mental, and spiritual challenge. And as dancers, aren't we lucky that we have that every single day? Every single day when we walk into the studio, we have both a physical, a mental, and spiritual challenge. And I think that's what choreography is for the dancers in the room, taking the choreography. All of that is a creative spiral together.
I love that. Yeah,
and then,
thank you.
And it's been done since the Greeks, which is crazy, all the way back. So it's nuts. Okay. If you could conceive, produce, or choreograph any new production, what would you want to do? Something wild.
Boy, you got me on the spot here. Because about 3 days ago or a week ago, I actually was thinking about that. Anything, huh? Anything.
It's okay if nothing comes to mind right now.
Well, there are some really great stories out there that unfortunately aren't stories that people are going to want to buy tickets to. And I think that's one of the hardest things, Maria, for me as an artistic director, is knowing that there are a lot of beautiful ideas. It's just marketing them in a way that will give a success to the ballet as well as to the artist, And that's one of the hardest things for me, is finding that balance, between the two. I mean, I love the heavy works like R&J, like Hamlet, like Othello, there's some really incredibly deep works out there that deserve the light of day. And I do worry, actually, that these kind of works are just, fading into the literary past, and that hopefully they will continue to be reinterpreted moving forward.
I agree with you. And how do we do that as a country? I think Europe does it a little better than we do.
Oh yeah, but because they have an awful lot of funding behind them, which our country doesn't do for the arts, unfortunately. I've spoken to many artistic directors, European artistic directors, it's just a whole different dynamic. It is a different dynamic. Yeah.
But we're going to change it. It's going to happen. I think people being with their families and are valuing that connection and valuing visual arts on the stage. I feel like we're here, and it's going to swing like all the way back the other way somehow.
I will say that the one story that I would just love to do, and I think you're gonna laugh. It just popped into my head because I remember it. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, I know. How great would that be?
Tripping. I would just love to do that, and I hope I didn't just give away an idea to somebody else.
I've heard some people talk about it, but there's room for plenty. There's room for plenty.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was going to be a ballet about Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. No?
I think he's doing good already.
Okay, we're good. We're good with that. Okay, so this is our last question, if you can believe it or not.
All right.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
To myself, not to the young dancers out there.
No, one piece of advice to your younger self.
Don't get hung up on the little things so much. Relax, breathe. Don't get hung up on it. I think that's one of the hardest things that I had a really, really hard time with, Maria, as a young dancer, was the little things that happen in the room, that in the casting, when you see the casting go up and You know, your brain just goes crazy going, why didn't I get the role? Why not? What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Did I get the director upset at me? Did I not show up to class early enough? Because I was in class every day, and I
Yeah.
stayed late after rehearsals. I mean, I was like seriously like wanting it, but yet, somebody else got to do Siegfried, or somebody else got to do that pas de trois, or somebody else got to do that, Snow King, whatever it might be, And patience, I think, is one of the hardest things for a young dancer to be able to appreciate. And being patient actually gives you room. And that's what I wish I would have thought more, been able to have learned earlier. I got there, okay? I did get there. It's not like I didn't get there. But being patient gives you room to actually mentally focus on your dance more instead of getting hung up on all the extraneous stuff, which I think you mentioned earlier. It's extra energy that you don't need to spend because, you got a lot to do when you're in that room, an awful lot to do.
Yeah. And you've got a short time to do it.
Exactly. That career could be 8 years, it could be 12, it could be 20. You just don't know. So you've got to carpe diem, make the most of it, and keep the smile, and just keep the joy going. Keep the joy going. That's something I was able to do. But
That's what I want to end on, is keep the joy going.
yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us at Só Dança and here on Barre Talk with me. I'm so excited to sit and chat with you. I can't wait to come to Kansas City one day and have barbecue. So
I hope so. I hope so.
Sooner than later. Everybody, thank you so much. We're going to dance out, Devon. Are you ready?
What's that?
We're going to dance.
We're going to dance. Okay.
We're ready.
Oh, yeah.